My boss fired me the day before my surgery so she wouldn't have to pay my insurance. She forgot who'd been quietly feeding the stray cat behind her restaurant and who that cat belonged to. I'd waited tables at the Bluebell for 6 years, doubles, holidays, the closing shifts nobody else would take. I knew every regular's order and half their life stories. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it was mine, and I was good at it. Then Renata bought the place. She kept the name and fired the soul out of it. She watched the clock like it owed her money, timed our bathroom breaks, and had a way of smiling at you right before she took something away. She knew about my heart. I told her when she took over. A valve thing. Manageable. But I'd been on the waiting list for a surgery for over a year. When the hospital finally called with a date, I was so relieved I cried in the walk-in freezer. Company insurance would cover most of it. I'd earned that. 6 years. Out back, by the dumpsters, there was a cat. A gray tabby with a torn ear who'd show up at the end of every shift like she'd clocked in for the graveyard. I saved scraps for her, the good stuff, and sat with her on my breaks. I called her Olive. Some nights she was the only thing that made the closing shift bearable. The day before my surgery, Renata called me into the office. I thought she was going to wish me luck. Instead, she slid a paper across the desk. "We're restructuring," she said, still smiling. "Your position's been eliminated. Effective today. Effective today. One day before the operation, one day before the insurance would have been billed." She timed it. She wanted me off the books before the hospital sent a single invoice. I asked her how she could do that to someone about to have heart surgery. She just shrugged and said, "It's not personal. It's numbers." I had the surgery anyway. It went fine. I spent the recovery staring at the ceiling, doing math I couldn't make work, wondering how I'd cover what the insurance now wouldn't. And I kept thinking about Olive, out back with no one to save her the good scraps. So a week later, still moving slow, I drove over to leave food by the dumpsters. And that's where I ran into Mr. Halverson, an old regular of mine. Quiet man. Always tipped double. Always asked how my recovery was going before I even knew he'd noticed I was sick. He was crouched by the bins, calling a name. "Olive, Olive, come here, girl." Turned out Olive wasn't a stray at all. She'd slipped out of his yard a block over months ago and made the Bluebell her second home. He'd been searching for her for ages. And when I told him I'd been the one feeding her all this time, that she'd kept me company on the worst nights, he got very quiet. Then he asked why I wasn't inside working. So I told him. The surgery, the firing time to the day, the insurance. Mr. Halverson, it turned out, owned the building. The whole block, actually. Renata didn't own the Bluebell's four walls. She leased them. From him. He didn't yell. He wasn't that kind of man. He just went home, read his lease, and made a phone call to a very good lawyer about a tenant whose conduct violated about 4 clauses he'd forgotten were even in there. Firing an employee the day before a scheduled surgery to escape a medical claim, it turns out, is the kind of thing that unravels fast when someone with resources decides to pull the thread. Renata lost the lease within the month. The Bluebell closed, then reopened under someone new, someone Mr. Halverson trusted to run it right. He asked me to come back as manager, full benefits, back pay for the shifts I'd lost, and a clause written in that the medical bills for my surgery would be covered after all. I said yes on one condition. Olive got a permanent spot by the window and her name on a little brass tag. She lives with Mr. Halverson now, but she visits the Bluebell most afternoons, tail up, torn ear and all, checking on the regulars like she owns the place. In a way, I suppose she does. People ask how it all turned around. Honestly, I didn't plan a thing. I just fed a hungry cat behind a restaurant and treated an old man like he mattered. Some folks call that luck. Around here, we call it karma.